Hey everybody, my name's Christian Smedberg. I'm here with the Cube Plus in our showroom in Mooresville, North Carolina. So today we're going to be running some production. Thought you guys could join us. And you may have actually watched the previous video that was just broadcasted maybe a little bit ago when Michael and Sean were given the technical walkthrough of this machine. Now if you haven't watched it yet, go ahead and stop watching this and go back, watch their technical walkthrough of the machine. It's really good. They go into safety features and tech specs and all that stuff. But in that video, they also said that the Cube was so easy to use that even a marketing manager could actually run it. So, challenge accepted. All right, so we're gonna get going today. I'm gonna run a couple pieces. This is what we're gonna do in this video. We're gonna run a couple pieces through the Cube. I want to show you its capabilities, talk about a couple cool things it's got going for it, and then I'm going to go into kind of a deep dive into a specific application that this machine really fits well into, which is squaring up turning blanks. Okay, so stay tuned, keep it right here, and let's get the machine on and start running some parts. So I just turned the machine on, literally just one button push, machine starts right up, we're ready to rock and roll. I'm going to run one small part followed by a large part so you guys can see how easy it is to adjust the size going through this machine. Basically, I just ran two parts. One was a small maple square. The other one was a large pine. I don't know, piece of timber that was much larger. Anyway, the point was that I was able to run a small piece, large piece with little time in between. I want to show you a couple things on the machine that made that possible. But before we do that, first of all, I know this was pointed out in other videos, but look how small this machine is. I mean, look at the footprint of this machine. It's great for a small shop. It doesn't take up much space. It's got the one dust collector port, easy use. You can put it up against the wall, okay? If you ever have to access the back of the machine, take a pallet jack, lift it up, pull it out, access the back, put it back. It doesn't take much to move it around. It's a great little machine. All right, so a couple other things. Come on, closer here. It's got a great touch display that's right here, it's right in front of the user. Easy to use. You're basically putting in your dimensions that you want an S4S the piece to be. This is very easy. The other nice thing, one of my favorite features about this interface here, is the fact that it stores your previous run values. Therefore, if you're only running a couple sizes for S4Sing, it's going to store all those recently run values in this list here. So if you're in an operation and you only have 5 sizes that you're running, this list is going to have 5 values because those are the only values that are going to be populating, right? And so you can easily choose one of these values. And now you're set up to run that size, all right? The other nice thing about this is that the Cube makes the usability of it so simple. It comes with its own, what I like to call, strand of Christmas lights. All right, and what I mean by that, let me get something that'll demonstrate that. All right, so basically, you have lasers that are getting, that are pointing down the table, down the M-feed table right here, that are moving along with your sizes. So as the table moves, everything inside the machine moves, and your lasers move all together. So what you're going to mill is what the lasers are projecting right here. All right, so we're going to go into an actual real-life scenario and take a deep dive into a couple applications, or really just one application that this machine fits really well into. All right, so one thing that that gets S4S'd all the time are going to be turning blanks. All right, so these are basically square pieces of wood that would go on the lathe after they're S4S'd, all right? Or they might get cut to size and then go on the lathe, but ultimately they're going to get turned. Now, any of these blanks normally have to get S4S'd first because a lot of times turnings will still have square areas revealed on them, and therefore those surfaces should be S4S'd. Also, they need to be squared. All right, so when it comes to blanks, normally there's 2 kinds, okay? You can either have a solid blank made out of solid material, okay? Or you can have a laid up blank made up of multiple boards glued together. Alright? So these are normally the 2 types that you're working with. Now, both of which, okay, would run great through the Cube because most of the time when you're working with solid pieces, they aren't exactly square and they're not surfaced, right? So, as an exaggeration, it might look like that, right? So it's more of a diamond shape. It's not exactly square. It's going to be rough on some sides. It's coming to you. I have an example. All right, a solid, nice piece of solid wood, okay? Obviously, it's not square, it's not surfaced. This would be a great candidate for the Cube. All right, if you're working with glued up blanks, a lot of times they don't come to this machine like that. They look more like this. right? So they're glued up, and after they coming off the reel, those layers, they aren't flush. They need to get squared up. So this is another great candidate for this machine, where you're taking this and you're actually going to mill it so that you get the square from that. A lot of times you'll see laid up blanks like that, and you'll see them where they're laid up oversized, because the next step is to S4S them, right? So now both blanks are going to normally be seen in a turning shop. There's benefits to both. I mean, a lot of times people like to use the solid blanks, but you can't always find them. Sometimes they're less expensive because you don't have the labor cost of gluing something up. Glued up blanks, if you're running larger pieces, you'll be using glued up blanks. Also, a lot of times these are maybe a little bit more stable because you're able to actually lay them up, engineer that blank a little bit more. You have more control over it. So there's pros and cons to both. But like I said, both of these great candidates for the cube. This is a perfect application to run pieces through, run pieces through, square them up, S4S them, so that they're ready for the next stage, the next step of your manufacturing process. All right, so I got a couple examples. Let me show you. So here's just a good example of a glued up blank. See, it's got all the ridges because the pieces are not exactly flush. Got some glue going on, and this is just a little glued up pine blank that I just made. So let's kick on the machine. We'll run this through. I'll show you how to do it. Real quick, before I go into that, one thing I forgot to mention is that the other benefit about the laser system and the touch screen on the cube here is that you're going to be able to see, if you're not exactly sure what you can get out of a blank, you can see on the laser system if you're going to be able to achieve that finished dimension or not. And if you're not going to be able to achieve that finished dimension, there's no need to run it through the machine. So you're not going to have to run material through the machine just to find out that it didn't hit all the surfaces afterwards. Your lasers are going to be able to tell you right off the bat if you're going to be able to plane it down and surface it correctly, and if you're not, then you can either step down to another dimension, or you just throw the piece out and get a new piece and go on. So anyway, I'm going to try to get a 3.5 by 3.5 out of this. square. I'm going to type that in, and right off the bat, I know I don't have the material to get that. I have the material this way, but I don't have the material this way. My top laser. So I'm going to step it down and just get a 3 5/8 instead. Again, one thing that I really like about this machine is that you can see exactly what you're going to get out before you put it into the machine. So you're not wasting time, you're not wasting material. A lot of times, if you have a pile like I do of unsurfaced material, you have a lot of sizes that you might want to get out. So you try each size, you see what will actually work from the material that you're given. That's one of the things that makes this machine a bit more versatile, is because that operator has control over what is going to come out. All right. So again, like that last blank, at first I was like, I need a 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. All right. Well, that's great, but I could see from my laser system I wasn't going to get that. So therefore, instead of running it through, seeing that all my sides are not surfaced, and then having to run it through again for a smaller size, I was able to just define that smaller size, 3 5/8 inch square, and run it through. So we're not having to do it multiple times. All right, so, and again, if you're working out of these standard sizes, keep in mind that all those sizes are in your history. So at any time you can just choose a size and it brings it back. Great machine for S4S'ing, small footprint, easy to use. One of the benefits that a lot of people like to talk about this machine having is the fact that you don't have to have really a dedicated molder operator to operate the cube. Really, anyone can walk up, punch in the dimensions that they're looking for, see if the laser is going to give it to you, and then push your piece right on through. All right, so it's meant for multiple operators. You just come up to the machine, turn it on, run your piece, and you're done. And that's how easy it is. Great machine, super easy. All right, so that's all the time I got today. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope that was helpful for everyone. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in the feed. All right, and we'll catch you next time.